Thank you for listening and welcome to the Life Podcast, a proud member of the Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network. I'm your host, Don Smith. Dan Dean continues on as guest co-host. Archie Wiseman returns to talk about his break from comedy and his children's poetry. If you enjoy the show, like and follow the Life 1069 on Facebook and Don Smith Comedy on Twitter, or tune in live on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM, or you can stream the show live at wwsu1069.org.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
All right, we're back on the Life Radio Show for the second hour. We had to change personnel a little bit. Dan Dean is still with me as guest co-host. Archie Wiseman is now in the studio with us.
Hi,
again.
how's it going?
How you been? You got your mic over there? Pull that mic.
I feel like it's not even
There, is that a little better?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
much better.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's been a while since you've been on the mic, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has actually. It has.
any mic.
Any mic, yes.
At all.
You should get out more. We miss you. We miss you out in the world.
Yeah, well, I've been busy working on a book and a few other things. So
It happens. I noticed the sling is gone.
yeah, the sling is gone. I was just telling Dan that the rehab is still continuing on
That
because once
that
you're
can be a
53,
brutal
you are
one,
no
yeah.
longer 21, 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And
Now you had
this surgery,
you had shoulder surgery.
Yeah, shoulder surgery. I've had two because why stop at one?
Exactly.
That's why God gave you two.
Exactly. Got to make the right wing match the left wing.
Sorry, I'm just writing something down here.
Okay.
Okay. I forgot to write it down earlier.
Ah,
Yeah. So now,
What, are you
now we're
writing
back
down
on,
his name now?
Arby's. So you've been doing a lot of writing lately.
been doing a lot of writing.
Uh,
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm working on a book of children's poems, and I'm trying to make them whimsical and with a fair amount of humor and stuff because a lot of the things I see out there tend to be a bit dry or a little bit dull and boring. And I set the goal for myself that I'm going to write something that the kids will like and that mom and dad will like too, so it's not a chore or drudgery for them to read to kids at night. Because I think reading for kids is a real important step to getting them a good start for school and everything else. So I want to make something, interesting and, like I say, something that, mom and dad also, will not, be cringing, when the child says, I want that book tonight. So
That's an interesting approach. I get my kids ready for school by putting a tablet in front of them and allowing them to watch YouTube.
both equally valid parenting techniques.
Yes.
So, soon you'll be able to read them some of Archie's poems.
Or maybe by that time they'll be able to read themselves and I won't have to do it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So you're not going to read to your kids when they're like 16, 17?
I mean, I guess I will if they want to read the articles in Playboy with me, but
That's creepy right there. That's very creepy, Dan.
well, I mean, only if it's my stepdaughters,
Oh yeah,
If it's
that's definitely
biological children. Then
I think that's creepy enough.
That's
I might
okay.
hit the dump button
That's
over here
okay.
so nobody else has to listen to that.
wouldn't be the first time.
No,
I've been kicked out of Vegas,
that's true. You've been kicked out of Vegas too.
I don't know. It worked last time. I thought maybe
Yeah,
we
why
could
not?
lead with
I've
that
only
this
been
time.
kicked out of a Bob Evans. So, I don't rank nearly as high as getting kicked
Yeah,
out of an entire city.
Did you pull the fire alarm?
I kicked
No,
myself
no.
out of Bob Evans.
No, this is back in 1987. It was over in Noble, Indiana. I think that was where it was. It was in Indiana. I know that much. And there was this grandmother who had a cup of coffee, and she was trying to make this most perfectly homogenized mixture of her cream and coffee. And the spoon went on for about ding, 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 ding for about 5 minutes. And I kind of lost it on her, and they asked me to leave and not come back to their establishment.
So what I'm getting out of this is Get Out is not your favorite movie.
Probably not. No.
You haven't
Yeah,
seen
I
the
haven't
movie,
seen
have
it.
you?
Yeah,
No one in here has seen it. That joke completely over everyone's head.
There might be somebody listening somewhere.
Just
that-
trying
Carry
to go
on.
along
That's
with it,
funny
but
right
yeah,
there,
no,
Dan.
Carry
no
on.
idea.
So, where were we? So, been doing any other writing? Is that
Yeah,
what
I've
you're
been doing a lot
focused
of
on
writing.
right now? Or?
I'm working on my third novel. I've written two, but I wrote them mainly to learn how to write a novel because as much as
Right.
they can talk to you about stuff I've taken classes at Sinclair and other stuff, as much as they can talk to you about stuff in the classroom, there are some things you just have to do
Right.
in order to figure out. Now, these are not going to be getting published because, the first one really sucked. The second one sucked a little bit less. And I'm hoping that the third one, is good enough to consider sending out for publication. So
Right. Once you've worked all the suck out of your system.
pretty much, yeah. Like I say,
See, I haven't started on my third one yet. I've written two that are pretty much in the same boat. They're sitting there collecting dust because
So when did you start writing your first novel?
probably about 2003.
All right, so we're looking at approximately 15 years, and you don't have anything published yet. So you're
Oh, no, I have over 100 magazine articles published.
books. We're talking
Books,
books
I've
here.
not gotten any books published
So
yet. at
you're
this
going
point.
about the same rate as George R.R. Martin. No Game of Thrones fans in here, really?
I know
What
who
is wrong
he
with you
Dan.
people?
I know who he is. That's okay.
Yeah.
He takes forever to write a book. That's the joke there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, crickets in here.
Yeah, this is a bad place to test material.
That's a terrible
this
audience.
is, yeah. This is where I'm going to change the name to the chapter.
No-
I'm gonna
no
it's a
topical.
chapter radio show.
No topical. But this is a chapter radio
Yep.
show, so the next thing you're going to lose a leg.
Well, part of it, too,
That one did.
That
But
one
a-
hit. That's an inside joke too, because a lot of listeners won't get that.
Yeah.
We love Dale.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't
Everybody
I haven't
get checked
seen
for
him in
diabetes,
some time,
yes.
but yeah.
So-
It made me laugh, but you kind of brought the show down because now we're just thinking about it.
So I went to see Dale when he was in the hospital,
Yeah,
right after it happened. He just lost his leg, and he was pretty loopy at the time. He was on some pain medication, and I was getting ready to leave, and I said, "Hey, man, you get better, get out of here, get to feeling better. We'll get you booked on some shows, get you back on that horse, get you back doing some comedy." And he looked at me with a dead straight face and said, "Dan, I didn't do this to get booked on shows." Said, really? Because if you did, you have a much higher dedication to comedy than I do, because I like making people laugh, but I like my limbs a lot more. If you did,
That's
good on you,
great.
man. I'm going to follow your career because you are dedicated.
that is for sure. That's funny.
Wow.
So no, I've got two novels that I've
Mm-hmm.
written in kind of the same way. They suck and suck a little less,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually I'll start writing the third one when I don't have zero time left at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, time's a consideration too, because I work full time and just like everybody else, trying to make things happen. When you're working, a lot of times 60 hours in a week is not easy.
Right. Yeah, it's not conducive to a lot
Having
of
a
side
life,
careers.
yes, not conducive to having a life. Period. Yeah.
True.
Are you still on third shift where you can't get out and do
No,
anything?
no. They've improved our situation. Instead of third shift, we are working those wonderful on 4 1 week, on 3 the next week, but they're 12-hour shifts. So I have to get up so early that the night before I can't do anything. And, on the days that I'm actually working, I'm wiped by 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it's, I'm looking for a better situation. I've applied for another position at work that, is management higher up so that I don't have to do,
So
Right.
you can
All
make
the
other
weird
people
shifts.
take those crappy shifts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the way to do it. You move up and you
Yep.
put somebody else.
So we will see. Yeah. Let somebody else suffer.
Have still writing any songs? Still writing comedy or?
Still writing comedy, still doing a fair amount of stuff like that. I've got
See, I was hoping
practically
you'd
a
bring
new
your
20
guitar
minutes
in.
to do the next time I get up. But like I say, the main focus has been working on this and then some articles and stuff, because I do have a couple of small magazines that pay frequently, and it's nice to have that $80 to $100 check come in for,
Right.
a couple of tanks of gas, or, whatever it evaporates for. It's like,
Right.
money always finds a way to spend itself, it seems like.
If not, I'll be happy to spend it.
Exactly. Well, I was saying in here before we started this show, I was in part of the last show having a religious debate, and I've decided I'm just going to open up the Church of Wiley's and expect everybody to tithe.
There you go.
I mean, it's also tax free.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that was the debate. It was going to be tax free. So,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking it's because it's we've got a shrine in there with a lot of the old comedians that came in. So we're halfway there.
Yeah, it's not unheard of.
No, it's not.
I mean, I figure if some of the religions out there that have done it, if I can't think of their name again. L. Ron Hubbard.
Mormons.
No, not the Mormons.
The
The Mormons, that's
the different one.
close.
You're
The
talking about
other wackos.
Scientologists.
Scientologists, yes. If they can do it, why not the Church of Wiley's Comedy?
There you go.
You're not supposed to call them Mormons anymore. It's not politically correct. They're Latter-day Saints these days.
Oh, well, that's well, they have been before. It's just they weren't.
Right, but you were still allowed
You
to
were
call them
allowed
Mormons.
to. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to call them Mormons.
Yeah, I just recently heard that, and I guess my source is as solid as it can get. I heard it on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Well,
But
Joe Rogan has a podcast.
two guys agreed to it. Yeah, apparently there was some guy named Elon on there the other day. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just messing.
I know. I knew.
But
I get jokes.
I didn't know that you weren't allowed to call Mormons anymore.
To be honest, I'm not real sure why that's an issue.
Yeah, I really hadn't. Because, I mean, how upset do they really get by it? They're Mormons. What do they just go, oh, I apologize?
Well, it's the Book of Mormon, right? Still,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that has something to do with it. I don't know. You guys are asking me questions as if I told you. I heard it in passing on Joe
Okay.
Rogan's podcast.
You didn't study it? You didn't bring notes?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I Googled it, and I couldn't really find anything on it.
So it may not even be a thing.
Listen,
It's just a
it happens
possibility.
on Joe Rogan's podcast.
If it,
It's a big deal.
Okay. I'll try to get him on here so that we can clear up this whole mess. Joe Rogan, if you're listening.
Well, he's going to be in town
most likely
next weekend.
Oh, really?
Well, Columbus. He has a show on the 14th in Columbus, which
Yeah.
I will be attending, by the way.
Well, I watched his special a couple nights ago.
He hasn't
It's
done
okay.
it coming out.
It's okay. It's a lot of it's not really my cup of tea, but
I mean, that's comedy.
Yeah.
Subjective.
Yeah.
I'm a big Burt Kreischer fan, but I wasn't a big fan of his last special either.
that was the Secret Time. Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that one. It was. There was some of it that was really funny, and some of it was.
Some of it seemed kind of forced. to
Yeah.
me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe we're just too critical. Dan.
he's a millionaire, and
Well, it also seems sometimes where they're under the demand to put something out, and
Right.
they hit it. They set it up, they hit a deadline, and what you get is what you get.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. There are far worse ones out there.
oh, absolutely.
oh,
Absolutely.
YouTube's polluted with them. It's
Because we were discussing something at the Comics Hang last Sunday. I guess there's this new trend where it's not. They're calling it stand-up comedy, but the goal isn't to be funny.
It's to
just
deliver a message.
kind of deliver. Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand
And
it.
I don't.
Yeah, no.
You
I
know,
stand it.
to me,
that's what that is people who are unable to be funny trying to validate
Right.
their existence on stage.
right. So in
And
other words, it's Sunday comics.
I
Yeah.
would say that's true, but there are some very funny people who have
That's
done
true.
that.
Yeah, and that there is most of them, a lot of them, some of them.
Yeah. Some of them I don't really know, and that's how I know them, so they're not funny to me.
But no, I was. They were talking about that whole trend of not actually having the goal of making people laugh, but still calling it stand-up comedy. To me, is kind of a misnomer. It should be stand-up soapbox speaking or something.
Yeah, I think kind of boils down to Hannah Gadsby's special that she just put out.
Right. That
that's
was
where
a
all
name that was mentioned, and I saw that on the on Netflix the other day, and I thought, I don't know if I should.
I think as an exercise, if you're trying to expand yourself and, work out some things on stage. I mean, for a while I was going up cold with no preparation because I wanted to see what I could basically pull out of my backside, when I was doing things. And it was a useful exercise. I think it really, this is a while ago, but I think it really helped, so far as, building your courage on stage and doing a bunch of stuff because, you basically start out tanking and hope you wind up getting some laughs, but you're trying to do it. It's kind of an improv exercise, but not exactly. It's also kind of anyway, I think it's a useful exercise. I don't think it's something that you want to strive to do ever in front of a paying audience or stuff like that. I was getting a lot of...
At an open mic is one thing.
Well, right. And I was trying to hit non-comedy open mics too while I was doing it as well.
Spoken word type things.
Yeah, spoken word type things. And like I say, it was a useful exercise, but to do it, even in some of the better mics where you're showcasing somewhere and stuff like that, I don't see the concept behind it there,
Right.
Because I think when you get to certain places, you want to be able to, put your best material forward and really show that you've got chops, and that's not how you do that. So.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, once you've made it to the big time, you kind of have a little bit of space, a little bit of leeway. I think Neil Brennan was the first one to kind of do that. He had a special called Three Mics, and he was like switching between three different comedy styles, and one of them was kind of that message delivery type of thing. But when he was on the first mic, he was super funny. His jokes were hilarious, but then he would go long periods without any laughter. And everybody praised it, was talking about how great it was, and I'm sitting there like, I'm not a fan.
Well,
so everybody else.
I get the concept of experimenting and doing stuff like that, and I think that is useful for, building your skills and stuff like that. But, there also comes a point, where if you're up in front of any kind of a paying audience and stuff like that, they come there for one reason and one reason only, and you'd better be delivering.
Right.
I'm with you on that.
Right. But it helps to get stage practice, even in other
Right.
things.
Any kind of stage time is generally valuable.
Yeah.
But, so far as, experimenting when you're up in front of a paid audience, I mean, have I tried out jokes for the first time? Stuff like that. Yeah, but I knew the stuff was really solid, and that it fit in with other stuff that would also be there to support it, so it was not like I was just going with something completely cold.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah.
So you got any news stories over there?
I do. It's almost break time, and we'll come back and hit some news stories. I was going to say, speaking of stage time where you go up with nothing and unprepared, I didn't go up with nothing. I was actually hosting a charity auction for 3 solid hours on stage, and that was a lot of fun.
Well,
being the auctioneer.
What was the highest bid for 3 solid hours on stage?
I think we did have. What's that?
I would have paid $20.
Yeah.
You don't think I can do 3 solid hours on stage?
Oh, so you know, I was actually auctioning off stuff. I wasn't auctioning off, 3 hours.
I feel like you
should
have been more clear.
That would have been that would have been. I bet a lot of comics would have bid a lot on that, but most of them are broke. So
I bet very few comics would have bid on that.
Oh, they'd bid on it. They just do 5 minutes and be done.
Yeah, how many people that can do 3 hours?
Well, just because I have 3 hours doesn't mean I'm going to use it.
Give me that chance. Somebody give me the chance to get on stage for 3 hours. I'd love.
We might be able to talk.
I think I could do it.
We might be able to talk because I'll set you up with these folks for next year when their auction comes through town. It's the Trans Am Nationals. It was held over here across the street. They did a charity auction for Special Wish Foundation.
And there were a bunch of Trans Ams over there?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was a big car show. They had all kinds of stuff over there. All kinds of people.
You know who won't be there next year? Burt Reynolds.
No, he will not.
That was my segue from Trans Am
to sadness.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
You guys get what I'm saying.
I know where you're going.
It's not.
All right, I'm going to... Hey, what kind of music should we listen to, Dan?
Jackal, I told you.
I don't have any Jackal.
All right,
I don't have their permission to use their music.
Then I guess this is a radio station. What are you talking about?
Well, no, for my own stuff. I don't want to have to pull a bunch of stuff off of my...
Off the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to edit. I don't like editing.
Yeah, so you know
I do
what?
very little editing, and then I throw out basically a live
I
version
have
of
never
Jackal.
let that affect anything I've ever done. I
Yeah.
put a Frank Sinatra song at the beginning and end of one of my podcasts every week, and it just... I even make a joke about it when I write up the synopsis of the thing. I tell them not to sue me every week. They don't care. There aren't enough people listening for it to make a difference. They'll never even know.
Yeah. And besides, Frank Sinatra's not going to sue you.
Yeah, since he's been gone for 20 years. So.
Yeah, well, I always say his estate, but none of that is relevant anyway. What I really want to hear, what I've been craving all day long, and what I'm really hoping you're going to play is some Pottersfield.
Well, I got just the same thing for you. I haven't played this in quite a while, so I'm going to play some Choke Hazard. Just to disappoint. Here's a song called Ordinary, and we'll be back here shortly.
People ask me why I don't sign to write up for Collier Drive. It's a crime, can't you see it's not for me? I am not ordinary, been like this since teen. It's not for me, not for me. Quit my job and left my girl to just go and tour the world. Wanna taste every single thing, every bit of life that brings. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. I just want to be something real you can feel, and I just want to be something real you can feel with me. I'm restless at 3 a.m. Regrets from the past closing in. Thought I pulled them to the grave, but I guess it's too late. Leave them all in the past. When I have 1,000 fans, maybe they will love me. 'Cause I don't feel anything. I just wanna be there on the stage, staring God right in the face. The lights will dim and I will sing as the curtains open. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. It's a crime, you see, to be ordinary. Something real you can feel.
hold on, wait a minute, wait 1 second. I think I'm onto something here. This is pure snow. It's everywhere. Have you any idea what the street value of this mountain is?
Charles.
Wait a minute, hold it. Ah! Oh! Outrageous! I think I froze the left half of my brain. Look! I can't move my right arm!
All right, we're back on the Life Radio Show. I'm your host, Don Smith, sitting in with my guest co-host for the week, Dan Dean.
Yo.
And we're also sitting in with our guest for the next 26 minutes, Archie Wiseman.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. We got some news stories to deal with because I'm tired of talking about that email.
I really think you should have printed it out.
I should. Maybe for the next show. Maybe once everything's cooled down with the group, I will actually read it on the next one. Now, I can't read my response, because of FCC regulations, but I can read.
Well. Very well.
I think I can. And that's after calming down
Now,
for 3
I want
hours.
to read your response.
That was what's funny, is that's after calming down for 3 hours, and it's like, okay, we'll get on to some news, though, because that doesn't count. Dashcam footage released on Wednesday has captured the moment a truck carrying candy overturned in New Jersey after an apparent road rage incident earlier this month. The footage, which was released by Mahwah Police Department, it's like air guitar or something. Mahwah Police Department shows the truck flipping on its side after the driver of an SUV. An FUV. That's road rage. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's
at that
actually
point.
more accurate. Yes.
Yeah. Well, the reason I messed that up is I was just going to say you don't want to say truck flipping too fast. After the driver of an SUV merged in front of the vehicle in an attempt to slow it down, Mahwah's chief of police, James Battelli, told the New York Post that the driver of the SUV had claimed to have seen the truck driver driving aggressively and recklessly and, quote, decided to take matter into his own hands and slow the tractor-trailer down to prevent any type of accident. The New Jersey Record reports that the driver of the truck then lost control, hit the median, and overturned. While the only victim of the crash was the unfortunate Candy, Mahwah police have stressed that the incident shows the dangers of road rage.
Did you say the guy's name was Fratelli?
Where am I? James Battelli.
I thought it was Fratelli, the people's names in Goonies.
Oh, what? Yeah, that's a throwback right there. I bet there's several people in this school have no idea what that is.
No, they absolutely have never seen that. Kind of like you guys have never seen Game of Thrones or anything decent.
Never. I've never watched anything decent in my life.
I know.
Never.
I know.
Because why would I when I have all the indecent things to watch?
That's true.
And the internet has made all those indecent things that much more easy to get.
Yep.
Yes. So, moving on.
I don't get guys who think that, they're in charge of,
the highways.
traffic enforcement and stuff like that.
Somebody has to.
And the guy's really lucky because if that guy in the tractor trailer had decided to, just barrel on straight ahead, they'd have been scraping him off the pavement, with a putty knife.
Yep, he'd have been candy coated.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, you know what irritates me the most? People who think they're in charge of enforcing traffic regulations, truckers. They irritate me to no end when you're driving down the road and they just start honking at you. Wah! It's like, what are you doing, dude? I'm over here trying to text and drive. I don't need you distracting me.
Right. Yeah. That's those kind of distractions cause accidents.
I don't text and drive. I spend far too much time on Facebook and Twitter to ever think about texting. So.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I respond to emails. That's my email time when I'm not watching DVDs.
So you can read the
I've
email
seen
you got
people
today.
read novels going down the road.
Right.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Got the book right on the steering wheel and away they go.
I play my game.
Well, what else are you going to do? It's a long drive. It's boring.
I like playing Toon Blast while I'm driving.
Toon Blast.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
I've not
right
played
now,
that.
as a matter of fact.
See, okay, go ahead. Well, we've lost Dan to Toon Blast. A 71-year-old man in South Korea experienced every sushi lover's worst nightmare when doctors had to amputate his forearm. apparently because he'd consumed contaminated raw seafood. The unnamed patient showed up at Chonbuk National University Medical School in Jeonju with a fever and severe pain in his left hand, according to the case study published last month in New England Journal of Medicine. The patient told doctors the problem started 12 hours after he'd eaten raw seafood, though the article does not specify what kind of seafood he'd consumed. Doctors noticed a deep purple blister measuring 1.4 by 1.8 inches on the man's hand and discovered it was infected with Vibrio vulnificus. Flesh-eating bacteria found in salt water, similar to the bacteria that cause cholera.
Let me tell you how accurate that article is, because I am a sushi lover, by far my favorite food on the planet, and that absolutely is my worst nightmare, because every time I eat sushi, all I can imagine is flesh-eating bacteria taking over and having to get my arm cut off.
I would imagine.
It's crazy. That's my worst nightmare.
Yep. And you love sushi so much that you take that risk every time. That is
the scary thing is you look at some of the places where seafood source. It's like the Gulf of Mexico. Since all the hurricanes and everything else, is just an absolute toilet right now. And, I've got friends on the go, and my apologies to anybody who's offended by that, but it's the absolute
live in
truth.
A toilet.
They live in a toilet. The beaches down where I graduated high school have had several cases of the flesh-eating bacteria, including 1 or 2 fatalities. And it's, it's nothing to mess with. And it's, it's also one of those things to where I'm real picky about what I eat, where I eat, and how it's prepared.
Yeah. I have never in my life tried sushi.
Oh, I have. I like sushi. I like anything Asian.
I've been thinking about trying it, but then I read articles like that, and it's like, it's not that important to me.
Yeah. Let's find out how many people had to get their arm and foot cut off from eating McDonald's.
I don't eat McDonald's either.
Yeah, there are plenty of worse things for you than sushi.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. I'll try it one of these days. Just not right now, because I've got a radio show to do. So.
Yeah, you shouldn't just abandon the show.
Right. It's like, heck with it. We're getting sushi.
Yeah, I mean, like 30 minutes from now is okay.
Right. Right before bed, so that 12 hours from now they can be amputating my arm right away.
You'll at least be well rested to go get your arm amputated.
Right. Well, it'll get me the day off work tomorrow.
But
because it's like I can't go. There's a purple blister on my arm caused by sushi.
Flesh-eating bacteria.
Bacteria.
Worth it.
Oh, yeah,
Worth
absolutely.
You still got 3 other limbs.
Right. At least. Arachnophobes look away and maybe start tucking your pants into your socks. Philadelphians are on the... Oh, okay, so they can't... So the spiders can't crawl up your pant leg. That's why. That confused me for a second.
Yes, that's why in the military you either tuck your pants into your boots or you blouse them up in there so bugs can't get up in there.
Right. And you just mean the bottom, just the cuff of your pants.
Yeah.
Not your entire...
Yeah,
pants.
It's pretty hard to get your whole pants into your boots.
Into your socks, and you'd walk pretty funny.
I'd be impressed.
I'm going to have to try that. That's going to be
next
week. We're going to be trying that live in the studio to tuck our pants all the way into our socks.
I'm in.
Anyway, Philadelphians are on the lookout for 7,000 creatures, including a highly venomous spider that were stolen from the city's insectarium and butterfly pavilion last month. Thieves made off with up to 90% of the museum. There goes one of them now.
I see it. It's over here.
Thieves made off with up to 90% of the museum's collection, including a 6-eyed sand spider whose bite, quote, could rot 25% of their victim's body. Speaking to CNN, Insectarium CEO John Camridge said that he wasn't sure there's ever been a larger live insect heist. How does he know they're still alive? The estimated value of the missing creatures is thought to be anywhere between $40,000 and $50,000. Authorities believe the thieves previously worked at the museum and were, quote, dismissed for extremely good reasons. Like they stole a six-eyed sand spider. Yes.
Which I'm currently looking at right now.
Is he cool looking?
It looks a lot like... Whoa. I just came across one of their bites.
Oh wow, that's gotta be hideous.
I've seen brown recluse bites, and they're usually like about $50, and you have to get medical treatment and Scarring is generally permanent.
Of brown recluse bites, have you ever had Lori Graves on the show?
Yes.
She has recently been bitten by a brown recluse and has
Really?
a giant chunk out of her leg this
Oh,
past
wow.
weekend.
Yeah.
This past weekend she
Yeah.
was bitten, or
Well, this
Or is
past
that when
week,
you found out?
I saw her this past weekend at the Live Laughs Comedy Festival.
how was that?
She
By
was
the way,
talking about it. I had a
because
great
the
time.
weather was terrible, but
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
The weather kind of screwed the whole thing up, but there was still a decent audience there, and the people who were there were fabulous. One of the best audiences I've ever had in my life, and
cool.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad. I might try to get on that next time around. I might submit if they do it again.
He says he's going to. And
But
if
no,
it doesn't
I
rain-
did not know that that Lori had been bitten by a.
Yeah, I don't think she's been posting that on
She's
social
not
media
been advertising
the way
Hey!
she normally does.
Anybody,
But,
anybody want to come see my spider bite? Yeah, that'd be kind of weird. But
she says she's
No,
just
that's-
been sitting around taking antibiotics and smoking weed.
well,
Doing a lot of sleeping.
well, there you go. Sometimes that's. I
they
think
are
that's.
painful.
I think that's a cure.
That is
for
at
a
least
spider
useful
bite.
for, changing your state of mind and perceptions of pain. So that's
Right.
But I have to show somebody this. This is terrible.
Okay, well, I have to see it too. Unfortunately,
Right.
we can't show it on the
That's,
air.
that's
but
one of the.
that's
If-
as bad as I've
if you
seen some
send,
snake bites get.
I think I've seen that before. I mean, not like
That's as bad as some snake bites I've seen. I saw a guy down in Texas got nailed in the hand by a fairly large diamondback.
Mm.
And like I say, they had to do, on the back of his hand, they had to do 2 cuts like this because it swelled so much. They had to basically make incisions to relieve the pressure and stuff. And gosh, it's probably been 4 or 5 years, and he probably has 55, 60% use of his hand, which they said is pretty good, but it's probably all he's going to get back at this point.
wow.
And like I say, just the necrosis from the venom and stuff like that, number one, he's lucky it didn't kill him. And number two, like I say, the damage that venom does tissue-wise is just unreal.
Just to give the listeners a perspective of what this bite looked like, this was somebody's thumb that, to be honest, looked like an uncooked jumbo shrimp that had not been deveined.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's an
exactly-
apt description of that.
That's a very good
Yeah,
representation.
that's apt. Totally.
Okay.
I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah. Did you see any of those over in Kuwait?
No, I've never even
No?
heard of a 6-eyed sand spider. The only
okay.
spiders they ever really talked about were the camel spiders. That's the only.
Were those poisonous? Or because I think
they
I've
are.
heard of them, but
I don't think they are.
oh, okay,
I mean, they're big and scary looking, but
right.
I mean, all spiders are venomous, but I don't think
Well,
they'll do anything like that to you.
Yeah,
No,
some
that
are
would-
worse than others. although-
Yeah.
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 When
And
I was
that's
out in
apparently
Oklahoma
the,
in 2010, I walked down into a storm shelter because, that's Tornado Alley right there. And
right.
anybody with money and sense has a hole that they've barricaded with concrete so that they've got a safe place to go when the sirens go off there. And like I say, I walked down into the shelter and I feel these cobwebs. I backed off and turned on my flashlight, and here's 4 black widows
Nice.
in this. And I'm like, okay, we're not coming down here till we get the broom and,
and
take
really
care of
make
this.
them mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bunch of black widows when I was in the Marines in South Carolina in one of our guardhouses.
You're still looking at that picture, aren't you?
Actually, I'm looking at different types of spiders now.
Oh, we've got him on the spiders.
Camel spiders and whatnot.
In what can only be described as a blessing from above, a charity store has been discovered that has filled all of its picture frames with Jeff Goldblum. Not since the 25-foot-tall, half-naked statue of the Jurassic Park actor appeared in London has the world been given such a beautiful gift. Twitter user Simon Rhea posted pictures of the discovery on Sunday, brightening the day of users worldwide.
So
Apparently,
I don't know if you've ever seen this or not, but there's a page on Facebook called The Same Photo of Jeff Goldblum Every Day.
oh, wow.
And the guy posts the same photo of Jeff Goldblum every day. No caption, just post the same photo every day. And I'm talking
And the name of
today's-
the page is the
The
same.
same photo of Jeff Goldblum every day. Today's photo got 2.8 thousand likes, 535 shares. Yesterday, 4.3 thousand, 4.5 thousand.
Same photo
Some of
every
them
day.
get up to like 10,000 likes. People are just all
That's
over this page.
hilarious.
I mean, look, same photo every day.
And then there are those of us who work on a joke or a bit we
Right.
put on Facebook, and we get, you know,
Yeah.
3 likes, and, you know, one of them's your wife. You know,
And then you
yeah.
get a bunch of nasty comments from other comics.
Say, you know, it's not funny.
Yeah. And then
Try
Travis
again.
Charles tells you to quit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. People get creative with stuff like that.
And how easy is that?
Yeah.
All the guy, he could just plan out every post for the rest of the year. Just
Yeah.
schedule all these posts. He doesn't
That'd
never
be
have
great.
to do anything.
Well, the stuff like that's the obscure stuff like that. I like some of the Facebook pages I follow now because did you know that there's a Kroger on Wayne Avenue in Dayton?
Yes, the Dirty Butt
Dirty
Kroger.
Butt
Kroger.
Kroger that
Yes.
has its own Facebook page, and that is fantastic. I have to go there every now and then when Wiley's runs out of stuff while I'm there. It's like, down to the DBK again.
Yeah.
And now you run out of material. That's a good spot.
Yeah. Anytime you run
daughter
out of
was
material,
selling
yeah.
Girl Scout cookies there one time because that's where the council said they could go. And
That's a tough
it was,
seller.
It was a mixture of rain and snow, and they were there for 2 hours and sold like 3 boxes.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Builds
Like a great
character.
There you go. There you go.
So boys aren't allowed in the Girl Scouts still, right?
Yeah, separate organization, and they're not.
Yeah,
Correct.
girls are allowed in the Boy Scouts
Right,
now,
and
but
it-
boys
Right,
are not allowed
right.
in the Girl Scouts.
I think that's wrong.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping them separate and, like I say, letting them just. I was active in Boy Scouts. Never made it to Eagle, but did get into the Order of the Arrow. Did a lot of camping and stuff, which is a little easier to do up in northern Michigan than around here because, you know, the woods literally are in your back door. But, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong, you know, with male bonding and, you know, I think at times, you know, you know, building character and stuff like that and having good role models and stuff like that is a good thing. And there are times when, you know, the opposite sex is a distraction, no matter whether it's boys distracting girls or girls
Right.
distracting boys.
That's
You know?
kind of the big thing with letting women integrate into everything in the military too, into the
Right.
into the infantry and co-ed
Yeah.
sleeping arrangements and that kind of thing.
Because
Yeah, it can get.
I know how humans are,
uncomfortable, yeah.
you know. 2 people have the urge hit at one time, and there you go.
Exactly.
I like those people.
Yep. A woman pleaded guilty to trying to smuggle nearly 20,000 cigarettes into Scotland by disguising the shipments as shoes. Zhao Guo, 32, pleaded guilty in Glasgow Sheriff Court and to attempting to dodge more than $8,300.
What Scottish clan is she from?
the Guo,
She was
Guo
made in
clan.
China.
Attempting to dodge more than $8,300 in duty on the cigarettes that she had shipped to Scotland from China. Authorities say she had the cigarettes disguised as shipments of shoes, but they were intercepted at the post office after investigators received an anonymous note tipping them off to the smuggling attempt. Guo told investigators she imported the cigarettes from China because they were more expensive in Scotland. She said she shared the smuggled smokes with friends. That's a great tongue twister.
She said she shared them.
Yeah, she said she shared them. Shared the smuggled smokes. And an anonymous tip. Apparently she wasn't sharing enough.
Yeah.
Because if she'd have shared with one more person, they wouldn't have tipped the police off.
That's true. Or she'd have shared with the police. You know, actually
Yeah.
she did. End up
That's
sharing
probably
with the
what it
police.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
She shared them all with
Yeah.
the police.
Yep. They've got them all now. And I'm sure they're not
Just
turning
like
them in.
other stuff, they, you know, burn the contraband.
Yeah.
One at a time.
Yep. That's what I was saying. I have a joke about. It's actually not really a joke. I had a cousin that was busted by a small town cop, and he had, In the joke, I say it was a brick pound of weed, but it was not quite that much. But it was still a hefty jail sentence worth of weed. And they confiscated every bit of it and let him go.
Didn't want any paperwork trail on that.
Oh, they did some paperwork.
Had him
all
Yeah.
rolling.
Zigzag
Yeah, it was
paperwork.
I get
zigzags,
where you're
yeah.
going on that.
Yeah,
I feel so much safer because of that. I don't use or partake. It's just not anything, it's not anything that holds any appeal for me, but I don't care if somebody else does, as long as,
Well,
don't be
you seem relaxed enough.
Well,
yeah.
but you got a lot of shoulder pain and shit too. Maybe you ought to think
That's
about
true.
it.
That's true. That's true.
Think about that. It's
The
used.
pain actually is pretty much gone right now. Finally. Particularly since my mother-in-law's down in Texas, the pain's really gone.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's-
did I?
That's how you really get rid of the pain.
That's
is you
another
send
time
your
when you should
mother-in-law
be trying the marijuana when your mother-in-law's there.
away. Yep. Or just pass some to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She might relax a little bit and become all right. One more news story, and we're gonna do some promos and get out of here. A pair of thieves stole a 16-foot spool of turf from in front of a California woman's home, and the theft was caught on a neighbor's security camera. Madonna Haynes said the 650-pound spool of turf was dropped off at her home in the Paradise Hills neighborhood of San Diego by a contractor who intended to return to use it to landscape her yard. A neighbor's surveillance camera recorded footage of two men pulling up in a Nissan Altima and attempting to shove the spool into their trunk. Haynes said, "I couldn't fathom why that they would steal it in broad daylight. They tried to stick 16 foot of turf in the trunk that's only 2 foot deep. It made no sense to me. The video shows the men drive off with most of the turf dragging on the road behind the car." Haynes said the thieves left a trail of turf that she was able to follow for about a block before it vanished.
They had to have done more damage to the vehicle than that turf was worth.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, speaking of rolling grass,
Yeah.
that's a whole
There you
different
go. Yeah, they rolled that.
scenario.
They rolled that for a block
There,
at
yeah.
least.
I see thieves do stupid stuff like that all the time.
Gotta love it.
Where they, the cost of stealing, the value of what they're stealing is less than the damage they do to something to get it of their own. Not, like
Right.
breaking into somebody's house and stuff like that. But
Are we just going to completely ignore the fact that the woman was named Madonna?
I was wondering if that
we're
was
gonna just
gonna-
brush that one under the rug.
oh, prima donna, donna, donna,
Madonna Haynes.
Oh,
Madonna Haynes. Interesting.
That should be a new brand name.
That was actually the second choice name for my daughter.
Madonna
If
Haynes.
it wasn't Gabriella, it was going to be Madonna Haynes Dean.
It's got a good ring
It's
to
weird.
it.
You know, I can't believe that was the name they chose.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's so random that it
Yeah,
just happened to show up in the news
it's
story here.
Really ironic that what a
I was
coincidence.
shocked.
It wasn't planned. Yeah, it was not at all planned. We did not have this conversation beforehand.
I was just shocked that my suggestion for Miranda was taken. I did not expect that to happen. I expected to lose that.
Oh,
The naming rights to my, that I would throw something out and then it would be, and then I just, to make everything quiet and happy, agree to it. But no, my wife liked it and it rolled and it,
Wait, time out. How old was she?
what, when we got her?
Yeah.
9 weeks.
And she didn't have a name?
Well, she's had 2 names. And the funny thing is with being adopted, her original name was Linda Eister. So whenever it comes to things where you have, aliases and stuff like that, she has to put that down because even though it was, her name was
Right.
changed,
That was a
when we
legal
adopted to her, she was also known, until she was 9.5 weeks old as Linda Eister.
Just so you know, if anytime I see her in the future, I will be referring to her as Linda. Just so you know.
Well, get in line because other people call her Minerva and everything else instead of Miranda. So,
Minerva.
Minerva
Just-
McGonagall.
yeah.
I assume you've never seen Harry Potter either, so you don't know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about there.
Nope. I don't watch things, Dan,
Clearly.
or listen to things.
I know.
Too many things to do
You've got things,
to watch
other-
and listen to other things.
other things.
Well, speaking of watching and listening to other things, do you have any shows coming up? You have anything going on?
I don't have any shows that I've got coming up. I am going to be getting off my tuchus probably in November, another few weeks, and start getting on stage again and doing some things. But like I said, I should hopefully have most of the book done at that point and have it to the point to where I can start sending stuff out to shop it to publishers and stuff. So
cool. It'd be good to have you back. What do you got going on, Dan?
I have a lot of shows coming up in the northern Ohio area. That's where a lot of my family is. My girl and our daughters, they're up there. So I'm doing a lot of shows up near Cleveland in that area. So if we do have any listeners up there, I'll be at Spinato's doing a wine tasting and comedy on the 26th. I do have in South Charleston, I do a monthly comedy showcase there at the coffee shop where I work in town called Village Cup. The next one is September 20th. That's going to be a pretty solid show. Ray Jackson's headlining that for me.
There you go.
Joe Young, Jessica Grau, and some other person that I hope isn't listening.
Because you can't
right
remember.
now because I can't remember who it is.
That's okay.
Ray's
I
worth the price of admission for any show.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Don't feel bad. I was sitting in here like 10 minutes before the show, and I got a text. Somebody was asking me who I had on the show tonight, and I said, Dan Dean and
some other guy.
Some other people. Like, hold on, let me check.
Some person.
And yet, just this morning, you had sent me a text. Yeah. You are going to be here, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
I knew I had it covered. And beyond that, I didn't know much else. So.
And, of course, unless you're Don, you can listen to me on any of my podcasts. I Wish I Was Laughing Radio with Wendy Ferguson. That's my flagship podcast. I have a military podcast called 50 Shades of Camo. Listen to me interview a different veteran each week, and then we do a local podcast for the coffee shop, Village Cup Coffee Cast, so you can catch me on any of those once a week.
Here I was asking if you still had one. I'm sorry,
I'm putting that work in,
Don. Did you say I'm not allowed to listen to it, or did I probably just won't?
Yeah, you probably just won't.
Okay. I may surprise you. I used to listen. I used to listen to.
I remember back in the good old days.
Back
before
I gave crap about somebody other than me.
You became a big time comedy club owner. Got too big for your britches.
That's true. That's true. It happens. Well, thanks for coming in, guys. It's been fun catching up with you. I think it's been a little while since. It
has been. I really enjoyed the second half of this show today.
You know, me too. The second half, pretty cool. All right. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It's been fun. Be sure to tune in next week. Also, if you want to go out and see some comedy this Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be emceeing for Joe Bates at Wiley's Comedy Club at 101 Pine Street. That's Friday night at 8 and Saturday at 7:15 and 9:30. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show podcast. Check us out on Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network or wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, if you want to listen live, we're on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM with a repeat broadcast on Wednesdays from noon to 2, or you can always stream the show live at WWSU1069.org. If you have suggestions or comments, feel free to email thelife1069@gmail.com.
Overwhelms me. The brutal presence.